feel good. You make me feel so good. I'm cheering up. You make me feel good. I feel good. You make me feel so good. And I need you like I never thought I would. And I see with you a life I could enjoy. And I thought I'd keep you with me if I could. To you I give my heart and joy.
It's the first track of the brand new album called The Grand Travers. Ben Davila is joining us in studio. And Ben, that one's called Heart and Joy. You just released this album on Friday. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So obviously you are on both sides of this musical aisle, and I love this. I love when people are both doing and teaching. And I think oftentimes people think, well, you can't be both. You have to be either you own the school, the Rock Stop School of Music in downtown Traverse City, so you only get to do that. You don't get to get out there and perform and have your own stuff and put out your own albums. And you say, not true. I do what I want, right?
Yeah, well, I think there's a real myth that we have that you're going to be one kind of thing. You're an artist or you're a scientist or you're like your life will follow a career path. You think about like when we talk to young people, we're always like, you have to know what you're going to do and be ready. But like when you graduate from high school to be on a career path, and when you talk to elderly people, they're like, well, I fought in the war and then I was a fireman and then I did that. And, you know, you start to kind of realize that that's not the way that life really is. It's not one thing. You have, you know, life is long, luckily, and hopefully. And
you're hopefully a layered person.
Yeah. I think we need to imagine each other complexly as well as imagine ourselves complexly. You know, we're people. We have more dimensions to us. We change and evolve and adapt over time. And, you know, there's a lot of things that make us up and that we enjoy. And I try to, you know, always follow my interests. My dad always used to say to me, follow your passions. So, you know, it's a good excuse.
Well, let's talk about those passions and how they got you here to Traverse City, and especially about how the album is called The Grand Travers, which I love that. Is it The Grand Travers or is this The Grand Traverse? Is this left to interpretation?
Well, one of the main things that made me want to name it that was when I moved here, I remember seeing it in print and being like, oh, like, you know, but having not heard it said, and then suddenly everybody was like, oh, the Grand Travers, and I thought Travers was probably a person.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's some guy here, Travers, who's like historically significant, and then there's a plaque outside of my house that's, oh, well, French trappers would cross the beautiful bay we have here and named it the Le Grand Traverse. And I was kind of like, oh, it is Traverse like it's spelled. It is the Traverse, but it's the local pronunciation. I always love local pronunciations. I enjoy language. I like the way that we talk, and everybody has their own ways of saying unique things. And I love the fact that to everybody outside of the town it's named for, it would be the Grand Traverse, but that everybody here would call it Grand Travers.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of like it. It's open to interpretation.
Right.
Do what you like.
And we don't know who's correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or goes by any other name.
I love that. You know, being that you are the owner and head teacher at the Rock Stop School of Music in downtown Traverse City means that you have to enjoy teaching music. And you told a story at a recent Fulfillment. You and I were both on the storytelling panel at Fulfillment, and I was so impressed by your story, especially about how you talked about how you would rather teach someone with a lot of drive and someone who was dedicated and wanted to practice versus someone with natural talent, because anybody can be taught how to play an instrument.
Yeah, well, I think I always get in trouble when I say this, but I think we have kind of a myth of talent in our society. And the second I say that, everybody's like, well, you know, I know a guy and he just, you know, has this amazing ability. And the thing is that all those hours of difficulty, they happen in private. You know, you sit and you put in those hours, and Also, it's kind of tricky because there's that aspect of the word practice. It feels like such a chore. I always tell my students, no, you don't practice the guitar, you play the guitar. Like, go in and play with the thing. It's a toy.
Yeah.
Like, enjoy it. And after a while, it doesn't really seem like you've spent that many hours. When you actually do achieve some level of proficiency, you go out and you play something and you've been working so hard and you've put so much of yourself into it. And then people come out and they're like, wow, you're really special. Did you fall from the sky fully formed? It plays on your ego. And you're like, yes, I did. I'm a special person. But, honestly, music is a human thing. It's a deeply human thing. It's something that we all have access to. We see people perform at a great level, and then we think it's something that we can never have.
Yeah.
But I always just say is like, you can sing, like, mothers sing lullabies to their children. Like, my dad sings really out of key. It never bothered me at all. I think his voice is beautiful. Like, if somebody's giving of themselves, that's a special thing. So, like, having somebody who's really passionate about what they do is really important. I mean, I've gone out and seen shows where, great band, they play fantastically, but, maybe the bass player is really phoning it in.
And you can tell.
Tired. Yeah, and it's just boring, right? You're just like, okay, whatever. And then I've gone and I've seen, young punk bands, and they're terrible, and they can't play a single note, but they're up there and they're jumping around, and it's energizing and exciting, and you're like, yeah, just terrible songs, just terribly played. And it's the best night in the world. You're having a great time. So, everything's really subjective. Yeah. As musicians and artists and fans of music, we can be really pretentious.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth every now and again stepping back and just kind of going, my opinions aren't as important as what I actually do. And in particularly, my opinions aren't as important as this thing that somebody else has done.
It's such a great way of thinking, and I'm really glad to hear you share that with us today. I want to say that in the middle of this, you're running the School of Music, the Rock Stop. You just had a baby 6 weeks ago. You've been on paternity leave.
Yeah.
So you're a new father.
Mm-hmm.
And then you dropped an album.
Yeah.
on Friday. That's a lot going on. How many times did you think, am I able to keep all these plates spinning here?
I get a lot of anxiety sometimes, so I find sometimes it helps to distract yourself. Like if I drop this album, at least maybe I won't drop the baby. So it tends to kind of work itself out. I went through. It's funny. Everybody says you're gonna go through a nesting instinct, which I think I did to some extent. I was doing a lot of stuff, but then I also had a kind of. I don't know, maybe a last chance to see sort of thing where I was like, oh, I gotta do this album and I gotta write
because it might be my last time.
I've got to write a book and all these other little projects that I built a 2-string fretless bass out of a salad bowl on the last couple of that I finished the day before he was born. But it was just definitely these kind of all right, so where am I going to put this crazy that I'm feeling?
So you feel that scheduling, maybe filling up that calendar with projects, helps to keep you on track.
Yeah, it keeps me out of trouble.
That's good.
I've always, I don't know, I fidget. I'm always been kind of a better busy than bored kind of person. What is it? The devil makes work for idle hands.
Yeah, that's true. I want to talk more specifically about this album, and as we said, it's called The Grand Traverse, or The Grand Traverse, however you would like to point it out there. You actually wrote all these songs, you recorded all these songs, you produced all of these at the Song Club Studios in San Francisco. So why did you do this out in California?
Well, they're actually recorded in San Francisco and in
at the
Traverse
Rock
City.
Stop.
Some of these are actually older songs,
okay.
Things that I had done on my YouTube channel. And the Song Club studio was my old recording studio that I had when I lived in San Francisco. And this one, the Rock Stop studio, is my new recording studio. So some of the songs are older songs that were recorded there, and then some were recorded here. And I think she's trying to get your attention.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, so doing the different cities was part of the Grand Traverse aspect. It's sort of why I chose the name, because I went through kind of a big life change of moving and then opening up a music school and now having a baby. I feel like it's been a lot of changes.
That's a real traverse.
Yeah. So it was kind of expressive of where I was and what I was feeling. So yeah.
So Ben, we have a call coming in. Hugh in Traverse City. Hey Hugh, you're on the air.
Hi, Gracious. Good morning.
And to you.
Speaking of music, I always think of my mother, who taught piano for more than 60 years. And her youngest student, about 2 months before she passed at age 98, was 72.
Wow.
And I've got a couple of videos that I took of her playing the piano at age 97.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Well, hey, thank you so much for reaching out and talking about that. That's a great memory.
Take care.
That is fantastic. Thanks, Hugh. Well, that's a great segue into you playing live here. You have your guitar, and there are 18 tracks on this album, which is that's a project in itself. I think more often than not, people are not putting out LPs anymore. They're putting out maybe shorter EPs and things like that, or singles, but you were going, nope, it's 2018. A lot of stuff has happened. I have 18 songs. Which one are you playing for us now?
I'm going to play, what's it called? It's not the last one on that?
It's called Life?
Life, yeah. All right, cool. Okay. I tend to have, different titles for things while I'm working on them, and it gets a little away from me sometimes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ben Davila, who is the owner of the Rock Stop in Traverse City, a school of music in downtown Traverse City, also the head teacher with a brand new album that you can purchase. You can actually see it on SoundCloud, but you can also purchase it at bendavila.com. Song called Life.
Okay. It's our life to live. We'll give it all we've got to give. Say all we've got to say, like it's our last day. And if it hurts, that's fine. Pain will fade in time. Joy will all fade too. Just like me, just like you. We've all got questions we need answered. You're all that's mattered to me. You're my answer. You're my key. You're all I need. 'Cause I don't know if there's a God or a heaven or a hell. But I'm grateful for my life, and I will try to live it well. If I succeed or if I fail, hope I live to tell the tale. That I still have eyes to see, and that you'll always be with me. We've all got questions we need answered. You're all that's mattered to me. You're my answer, you're my key. You're all I need. 'Cause it's our life to live. Give it all we've got to give. Say all we've got to say, like it's our last day. And if it hurts, that's fine. Give it all we've got. I'll give it all I've got.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. I love that song so much, and it's so inspiring. And I mean, is that a lot of what you do, Ben? Do you do a lot of songs that are like, hey, it's complicated out there. Why not have something a little more positive?
Sometimes I'd like to say that my songs are all very deep and express my feelings well. Not really, no. Most of my songs are about things like cats or lighthouses and
You have a song on the album called Turkey.
Turkey, yeah. That one's about awkwardness at Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Just kind of, things aren't ideal. You
Yeah.
should just eat.
But even I know it doesn't sound like that, but in the song "Life" that I'm picking up on is there's a lot of complicated stuff. There are a lot of questions that maybe we don't have definitive answer, or maybe we argue about the answers to those questions. And why not just get out there and live it? Instead of getting stuck in the detail.
Yeah. Well, at that, and it's the main thing about like having questions is I always think that that's one of the best things about life.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things that I love about science. I'm a big nerd, but is that thing that like when in science you don't really get answers, you just get better questions.
Right.
And I always love that of just like, oh, wow, like, my deeper understanding of this concept has suddenly just lit me on fire.
Yeah.
And now I have all these other questions. And just kind of that idea of like, that search for isn't necessarily something to be afraid of. It's actually the point.
So you have a website, bendavila.com, and that's one L there. And, you can pick up the album that way. You can also purchase things on iTunes and Spotify and CD Baby and all the other places that music is. You have your new album, and then you have some older ones too, where you performed with the Spectacles and some other stuff going on. Where can people see you live, though?
Oh man, I'm taking a little bit of a hiatus.
I was going to say, new baby.
Live. Yeah, new baby. It was nice to be able to sneak out and do the radio. Right now, I'm just kind of posting up for the next, I guess 18 days. I've been posting up a live performance on Facebook.
Okay.
Just every day, I just grab something off the wall and
I think that's a great idea, though.
Throw one down since I'm not able to actually get out too much. But hopefully, relatively soon, I'll go out and play live again.
And people can see you. We've been doing Facebook Live for this, and a couple of different cameras here, so they can see you and performing live in studio in your chat. But that's fantastic. So find you on Facebook, find you on bendavila.com, find you on SoundCloud. You're all over the internet.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube, and
you have the YouTube. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So this next song, though, I wanted to play, and this is one of my favorite ones that you sent over before our conversation here. I just thought it was really cool and catchy, and it's a little more. There are some electronic sounds here.
Yeah.
Tell us about Cabin Fever.
So I wrote this when I first moved to Traverse City, or actually during my first winter here.
Yeah.
I'm a California boy. My brittle California bones just couldn't take it, and I was stuck inside all the time and thought I was going insane. And I was just like, I want to go out dancing. It's like there's like nobody, like it's just kind of like, oh man. So I just stayed in and wrote like my electro song, and it's just like, okay, like I'll just dance by myself then. So that's essentially what the song is.
Essentially, you had a dance party to relieve your cabin fever.
Yeah, so indoors. This is me going totally insane in the wintertime.
All right. bendavila.com. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.